The three Singapore banks, DBS, OCBC and UOB, have sold off massively in April by close to 20% as Trump's tariffs kicked in. However, right, we have seen a very strong recovery over the past 1 to 2 months due to share buybacks that this bank has done and some positive momentum coming in the markets again. So where are we right now for the three banks, right? DBS, OCBC and UOB, are we facing some obstacle? Should you want to take some profit, all right? And maybe we could break these levels to hit even higher. Let's find out in this video as I dive into the three banks, right, from my one good trend strategy and even from my one good trend pro indicator that I had to see if there are any bullish or even bearish signals that came out over the past few weeks. So let's dive into it right now. So the first bank I'll talk about would be this bank called DBS, trading at about $44.10. So very quickly, you can see that for DBS, we have been a pretty good longer term uptrend, I would say, since like 2024, just by looking at the red and blue line. You can see that somewhere over here, all right, around beginning of 2024, or maybe somewhere around like February or March, you see that we kind of broke above this $28 to $29 resistance, all right, and the rally or the uptrend really started. So it turned from like sideways trend last year, all right, all the way to last year February until we turned into a pretty good long-term uptrend. And look at this right now, you can see that the longer-term trend is still up. Look at the red and the blue line; they are both pointing up. The red 100 days moving average is above the blue 200 days moving average line. So I think longer term trend has been pretty good, but of course in the short term, we can see weakness. Look at this, right? Sold off a little bit. Of course, this was in April. We sold off, all right? The market started to rebound, and there were some deals that were being made, all right? You can see that DBS actually started to see a rally all the way up to about $44.11, right? So longer term trend looks good. Short term, we sold off in April, May, rebounded back up, June. I would say that right now we are seeing some signs of profit taking near a very key resistance level. So let me show you guys what is this very key level that you want to write it down. I think that right now, quite clearly, we have seen this same resistance coming out again, right? And that would be none other than the $45.50. Look at it, it was in February, right over here. We came down, all right, saw a bit of a bargain hunting, rebounded, and somewhere around end of March, right before the tariffs was announced by Trump, right, same thing, we touched the $45.50. Of course, Trump announced it, and then we went all the way down. You can see that over the past one over week, right, we have headed back to this same resistance level, $45.50. There's some, selling pressure coming back, a little bit of a bearish candlestick coming out as well. You can see that we are kind of like pushing away from this resistance level. So I think right now we are indeed seeing some signs of the short-term trend. I would say slowly, maybe even turning back down. I mean, it used to be up. I mean, look at this, right? So the green line would be the 20 days moving average. So after the announcement of the tariffs, the 20 days moving average line was down, right? Market recovered, right? The banks did heavy share buybacks, millions of dollars, and we saw the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend turning back up as well, all the way to up. And you can see that over the past 1 week, all right, this green line, all right, I mean, it was like up, right? But you can see this green line has started to flatten out, maybe even pointing down a little bit. I mean, it still remains to be seen whether it will point down, but I would say that this green 20 days moving average line has turned from up to a bit of sideways. So I think if we were to break certain support levels like the 44, or maybe, okay, let me just go to see what are some of the key support levels. Perhaps there could be a bit of a support right over here, psychological support around it. $44. That was where we were, I would say, somewhere in May. A couple of bullish candles, a hammer right over here, and then we started to see that rebound to 45.50. And yeah, over the past few days, you can see we are right here now. It's 44.10, still above the 44. Hopefully we hold above. I can tell you, if we do break the $44, not so good. We may see a bit of a retracement. Perhaps this green 20 days moving average line might also gently start to slow down, and that could be another confirmation of the short-term trend turning down as well, right? So this is DBS. Think of this key level, right? $45.50. I think that level is key if we want to see more upside for DBS all the way to like $48 or $50 to a new phase, new target. Well, we need to break the $45.50, all right? And that's exactly what we are looking for as well. So now what we can do is that I can turn on, all right, not just on DBS, but on any stock, what we call the one good trend pro indicator that I have, right? So let me just go turn it on, and Based on this indicator, in a matter of seconds, we can see if there are any bullish or bearish signals that are coming out on any asset classes, any stocks, any, it could be crypto, it could be anything. But I mean, right now we're focusing on DBS. Let's take a look at it right now. Let me turn it on. 1, 2, 3, pop. And you can see right over here, based on this indicator, we have what we call bearish and bullish signals coming out. So you can see DBS, right? Not too bad. I mean, we had a couple of like bullish signals in October 2024, pump, and there we go, right? And each time we get a bearish signal, like this was in April, right? Where the bearish signal starts coming down, and then a bullish signal came in somewhere around 23rd of April, and the rally actually started, all right, with the green 20 days moving average line turning back up as well, right? But right now, I would say that, well, this bullish signal is still in play. We wouldn't have a bearish signal right now. I mean, it hasn't came out yet, but let me show you guys that we could turn on what we call the trailing support line over here based on this one good trend pro indicator. So you can see very clearly, right? This one good trend pro indicator, we have this trailing support. Essentially, this trailing support is to follow a particular stock or maybe even the market as well as it moves even higher while giving it space to breathe and hopefully push even higher. So as long as we stay above the trailing support, I think it's still okay. So you can see, right, this trailing support has been following DBS as it moves up from end of April all the way to where we are right now in June. I draw this $44, which will be a psychological support level, but you can see that this trailing support, I give it a little bit of space, right? So it's slightly below. I would say it's somewhere around that $43.80, right over here, which is very near. So if you to go below the 44, maybe even below that $43.80, then I think we could potentially see more weakness, more downside. As I say, the short-term trend could also turn down, and we might potentially head towards even the $41 to $42 before some bargain hunting come back again. So that's where we're going to be patient, we're going to wait. But I think right now, there are definitely some signs of profit taking coming back near that $45.50 to even that $45. So I think nothing wrong to take some profit near there, because obviously this green line is no longer sloping up, right? I mean, if it continues to like slope up and up and up, that would be great, right? But no, right? It started to go sideways. It means that some selling has actually come back. All right, let's move on to the second Singapore bank, and that would be OCBC right over here, trading at about $15.97. So OCBC has done some major share buyback as well after the dip in April. Millions of dollars share were bought by the company, all right, as it was much cheaper then. And you can see, right, I will not go too far, but I think the longer term trend for OCBC has been up since like last year, even 2023, right? So more than 2 years of a very strong longer term uptrend, one of those very steady, very consistent kind of uptrend, all right? And we started to push higher from $11, $12 about 2 years back, all the way to about $15 right now. So I think longer term trend is up. In the short term, yeah, we did see a bit of selling this last year, right? Bearish signal came down, and in fact, in April, right? Take a look at this, right? In April, we actually saw one and two bearish signal, and it started to hit all the way down. But you can see, right, a new 1 GT bullish signal have came out, right, and the rally actually started from about $15 all the way to about $16 right now. So let's see what's happened over the past 1 month. So you can see, right, we have formed, I would say, a bit of a consolidation sideways movement over the past over month. Resistance, let me go to draw this resistance at about the $16.50. Look at this, right? Since like, May all the way to like early of June, right? We touched the $16.50. We couldn't get above. It's like up and down, up and down. And I can also turn on what we call the trailing support and resistance. So you can see, right, once we had this 1 GT bullish signal somewhere around like 17th of April after the massive sell down, right, the rally started. We went up all the way from near 15 all the way to 16.50. But right now you see that there are some signs of weakness because we're not able to get above that 16.50, all right, and this green 20 days moving average line that was like sloping up has also started to maybe flatten out or maybe even point down over the past 1 week. So there are definitely some signs of weakness. I would say that the support level will have come out somewhere around that $16, or maybe to be clear, I would say $15.80. Look at this, it was where it rebounded. Same thing over here, rebounded. And it is also quite near where the trailing support line is. So as I say, right, this trailing support, it follows a stock as it moves up, it gives it space to breathe, right? And as long as we're above it, I think we're fine, all right? There's still some space. You can see right now, 1580 will be where the trailing support is, and so where the horizontal support is. So it's not like 15.97, right, which is very near the $15.80. So I think just want to watch this level, 15.80, if we were to unfortunately break below, if the market starts to weaken, we break below 1580, we go to 1570 something, all right, 1560, not so good. We would have like what we call a bearish 1 GT signal, and when that happens, and I know the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend also starts to gradually turn down, like what we saw over here, right? Over here, you can see the green 20 days moving average line going down, not so good. We could potentially see even more selling, right? So this is OCBC Bank, clear resistance at $16.50, support 1580 to maybe $16, all right? Hopefully that holds. If not, take note, we could see more selling in the next few weeks. So I've covered DBS and OCBC, and let's move on to the third bank, and that would be UOB. So you can see, right, I've covered some of the Singapore stocks, Singapore banks, but if you want to get some of those ideas, not just the banks, but some of the top Singapore ideas daily for free at no additional cost, right? Just click on the link below, find out how you can become a VIP client of mine in Phillip Securities, where I'm a broker, all right, and that's where we actually share some of those top Singapore ideas for free, right, with a chart, with a description, and that's where you could write some of those ideas with us as well, all right? So we don't just cover the banks, we cover many of the winning Singapore stocks like Sembcorp Industry, Centurion, Hong Kong Land, right? These are some of the things that we've shared over the past 2 weeks that push a little bit higher. And if you don't want to miss out, right, make sure you click on the link below, find out how you can come on board as a client of mine in Phillip Securities for free, right? You do not pay anything more. So let's dive back into UOB, which will be the final Singapore bank for today. Okay, so this is UOB trading at about $34.80, right over here. So see, right, massive sell down in April. We went from like 37 all the way to like 29 to $30. Look at this, right? Very strong buyback, strong reversals, like a V-shaped recovery. All right, and yeah, we are pretty much near to where we were somewhere in February and March. But you can see that some selling have actually came back over the past 1 month. So let me just go to draw some of those very key resistance and support levels. I would say that some support will be quite clearly somewhere around that $34. Look at this, right? We rebounded, traded above these 34 for about 2 weeks, push up, and back to the same original resistance. I would say around that $37. So let's see what has happened. I would say that you can see that the green 20 days moving average line that's been sloping down since March was down. April went down even more. Somewhere around beginning of May, we have rebounded all the way. But right now, you can see that the green 20 days moving average line that gives an indication of the short-term trend has started to flatten out, or maybe even start to point down. So just want to be more careful. I would say that we could potentially see some selling back to the 34, I would say, support level. If that breaks, unfortunately, we could see maybe even a pushback down to 32 to 33, right? Let me go to turn on what we call the 1 GT Pro indicator to see if there are any bullish and bearish signals. So as I mentioned, right, the longer term trend is pretty much up, all right, it's intact, but in the short term, we could see selling. So let's see what it says on the 1 GT Pro indicator. So let's just go turn on the signals. You can see right over here. There we go. All right, so a couple of good bullish signals, right over here. That was in August 2024, right? Couple of, look at this, right? It was in like March 2024, April 2024, we got 2 bullish signals, and there we go all the way up. So every time we get a bearish signal, it starts, selling down, maybe moving sideways a bit. We got bullish signals, it starts moving all the way up. And of course, we got 2 bearish signals in like March, of course in April. So now even more, we got another bearish signal, and down we go, right? So right now, we got a most recent bullish signal just before it started to push up even more, all right, somewhere around end of April, right? 3rd week of April, went up all the way. And it looks okay, I would say, but just that right now, we have seen some resistance near the 36 to 37. And if I can turn on what we call the trailing support line over here, you could see that, yeah, right, it coincides, can you see, right? So this is the line that I've drawn around the $34, and it kind of like coincides with where the trailing support is. So just think, I think this $34 is a very critical psychological support level, right? If we were to go below 34, right, we go to like 33.90 or 33.80 or just below 34, right? We could potentially see some selling coming back, all right? We could push back all the way down maybe to 32, to 31, all right? So you don't want to rush. When that happens, we would have like a bearish signal coming out, right? That, that will probably play out. We'll probably have an alert that will alert us on that, but just take note of this key level at that $34. If you want to take some profit in case it rebounds back up, well, I think anything near 36 to 37 right over here, that is potentially where some profit taking or some selling can come back again. So if you want to take some profit near there, nothing wrong. I think we are pretty much in a bit of a sideways consolidation right now for the longer term, just by looking at the red and blue line. All right, it's still up, but you can see they're both starting to flatten out. So that's where we might be in a longer term consolidation sideways. All right, so this is it for DBS, OCBC, and UOB. I hope you understand clearly what are some of the key levels to take note of, what are some of the key support levels. But if we do break down below it, we could unfortunately see more selling. All right, and you want to be patient, you want to take some profit, get out if that actually happens, because we would have what we call a 1 GT bearish signal actually coming out, right, if that support actually breaks down, right? So as I say, right, we do cover some of those top Singapore stocks on a daily basis by WhatsApp. We share it with our VIP clients in Phillip Securities, not just the banks, but for many of those top winning Singapore stocks, right, like Hong Leong Asia, like Sembcorp Industry, like, I don't know, right? Let me see what we have. We have like, SIA Engineering, we have Keppel, we have Singtel as well that was shared over the past couple of weeks, right? So you want to get some of those top ideas in the Singapore markets line by WhatsApp as it plays out. Click on the link below the video, find out how you can become a VIP client of mine in Phillip Securities for free. You do not pay anything more. It's pretty much the same as whatever you pay when you're trading anyway, right? So link below. I look forward to serve you together with my team, all right? And Joey here, thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you have not yet done so, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.